It offers a deeper analysis from different sources, and it gives a space, I think, for people's voices to be heard.
South Africa's ruling party, the African National Congress, or ANC, has a new breakaway faction. This follows the ousting of South African President Thabo Mbeki, involved in a bitter dispute with his political rival, Jacob Zuma. Zuma defeated Mbeki to ascend to the ANC's top position last year, prompting a split within the party. Although the Splinter faction highlights the discord within the ANC, Professor Adam Habib believes this development may signal the potential of a more vibrant democracy. I spoke to him earlier in Johannesburg.
The ANC is split. What's worth bearing in mind is that for a long while now, political commentators have said that the prospects for a viable opposition in South Africa are unlikely to come from the rump of opposition parties, that they really largely do their electioneering amongst minority groups, and they could never constitute a threat to the ANC, and that it would have to emerge from within the ANC itself through a split. For much of the period, people, including myself, expected that split to happen as a result of the Congress of South African Trade Unions and the South African Communist Party leaving the ANC. In fact, what has come to pass is the old Mbekiites, those right of political center, have actually split from the ANC, forming a new party. The first consultative forum took place in Sandton in Johannesburg. It had about 6,000 delegates, at least 70 to 80% of them African and black. That has indicated is that at least this party has the prospects of non-racializing the opposition. It's going to be sad for the ANC, it's going to be a traumatic experience for the ANC, but it's really going to be good for the country because the emergence of a party that is competing in the same electoral base as the ANC will force the ANC to become responsive to the citizens. It will force them to start dealing with policy issues that impact on poor and marginalized communities. And the logic of political competition will force the emergence, if you like, of a developmental agenda. We've seen this happen in the last couple of years with the emergence of Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki splitting, and what that has done is the split within the ANC has forced the ANC to become more responsive, but it wasn't an institutionalized split. Now we're seeing this thing institutionalize itself, and that's good for democracy and development. There are some challenges, of course. Can they develop the organizational infrastructure at a national level to do it? Do they have enough resources to carry forward this thing? Can they root themselves in a policy discourse? But overall, I think the potential for a viable opposition to emerge is great. It's worth bearing in mind that for this group to be successful, they don't have to win the elections. All they need to do is get 12 to 13% and they'll become the official opposition. And in the process would have non-racialized the opposition movement. And that would be a great success story for South Africa. So I think that it's a wonderful opportunity. I think it will not racialize the opposition. It will, as a result, create a dynamic of accountability within the political system, and that will be good for democracy and development. So I'm very hopeful that this is a positive sign for the future.
Donate today and receive a new documentary film available to members of the Real News Network. The History of the National Security State with legendary author Gore Vidal. Bonus features of the DVD include an in-depth response to Vidal from ex-CIA analyst Ray McGovern, who served under 7 U.S. presidents, an exclusive interview with Colin Powell's former Chief of Staff Larry Wilkerson, and an insightful interview with oil policy analyst Antonia Juhas.
The news magazine of the screen. Living glimpses of history in the making.
Hollywood and Washington, there's a symbiotic relationship. They both deal with illusions. Reality doesn't often play much of a part. I think I saw through a myth of the Cold War almost from the beginning. I was a Washington political kid from a political family. Roosevelt first had radio because he had this great speaking voice and everyone liked to hear. Truman proceeded to break every arrangement that Roosevelt had set up for a peaceful coexistence. And Truman thought that it would be a good idea. Why not just stay armed all the time? And then he devised the national security state. You've got to go up and swear allegiance to the United States or else you're a commie. I mean, we had imported fascism. We get Dwight Eisenhower, who said that we have this great military industrial complex. It is a dangerous thing. And he said this is going to change everything. And the way our country's governed is going to change us politically. Along comes Jack Kennedy, who wanted to make his mark, believed in the Cold War. But he said, in this kind of politics, it is the appearance of things that matters. I think everybody should take a sober look at the world about us. The national security state still exists, only it isn't communism anymore, it's terrorism. This is the most serious thing that has happened in the history of the United States. Knowledge is power. We need an honest news system.
We need the real news.
This is the sort of thing we can build right now without anyone else's permission from the government or from the business community. It's the power's in our hands.
If we're not going to sleepwalk into more wars, we think we need to start with a television news network that won't bow to pressure and has the courage to seek facts. And that means independent economics. And that's why we need you.
Make a tax-deductible donation now of at least $10 a month or a one-time give of at least $75. As a thank you for your support, we will send you the new documentary film, The History of the National Security State.